fellas, here we go. We're live, baby. We're live. Please head to our Foolish Club Media, our YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends to like and subscribe to help us spread the word. Show and BK is live. Many of you may catch this Friday morning, but that's cool, or the weekend. This is another enormous week, but I can feel the tension. I really can. I can feel it. I've started to know you a little bit, and I don't like the feeling I have from you, BK. I feel like this feels like after Christmas Day against the Raiders. This feels like I feel like you're in a tough spot. And I feel like we may have lost you. I don't know. Serda, I don't know. Serda's like Mark Bavaro. Like, you don't know what he's thinking. Like, I just heard Bill Parcells say that in an NFL film. Look at that Mark Bavaro. You don't know what the fuck that guy's thinking. I don't know what he's thinking. Who knows where Serda is? But I don't know, man. You just went dark. You just stopped texting after the game. We haven't heard from you. I don't know how good that Thanksgiving went. Not sure. I don't know. The way that I felt, again, is you sat there, you watched it, and next thing you know, you looked up and you didn't even know it 60 Minutes was on. I feel like it was one of those games, or maybe you just said, F it, I'm going to go put up Christmas lights. I don't know, but it just didn't seem like I'm concerned that we've lost you.
I think I'm out. I still think I have it in me, man.
I can just smell it.
I think so. This is the thing that's tough, Ron. I'm not even mad.
Oh,
like
you're disappointed.
I didn't get mad in the game. I kind of half expected it. I mean, we talked about it on the show. I said, like, I think there are some really bad matchups that the Cowboys present for the Chiefs, specifically with their receivers. Like, it felt ugly. And then you get into the game, you lose your tackle. Like, there was just a lot of stuff. And as you continue to watch it, I came to the acceptance stage of they can't stop them. And the offense isn't consistent enough. And even if they did win that game against Dallas, I just don't think this team has what it takes. And it's been the case really all year. Like, the reason that the Chiefs, if they end up losing on Sunday, and we'll get into this, the Houston of it all here momentarily, but if they end up losing these two games back to back, this is not where they ended up missing out on the playoffs. Where they missed out on the playoffs was the loss against the Jags and not being able to take advantage of the Broncos. Like, they've had every opportunity. And at no point outside of really one game where they went up against the Lions have they looked like a contender this year. So, yeah, I just don't think this team has the switch to flip. And I think it's going to be an off season that we're talking about an overhaul and how they get into the next era of Chiefs football, kind of similar to the Patriots coming off of that like 05, 06 stage.
Come on, man. Overhaul. Go.
I mean, they do need something. Like, it's at least on the defensive side of the ball, because like I've been asking for years, what's the plan after Chris Jones? Like, they have absolutely nothing in place. And I guess it was, this year you take a swing on Omar Norman Lott, and unfortunately he gets injured, is out for the year. And then Ashton Gelati, who looks like he could wind up being a serviceable player for the Chiefs. But again, so far early returns are those guys are not going to be anything close to what Chris Jones has been for the last several years. And they haven't had a plan for that. And now it's really even like, when they can overcome the mistakes on offense sometimes, like, and still get the points when they need to go get the points, the defense just simply isn't good enough. Like, I think they do have talent in the secondary. It's the guys up front, and they're simply not talented enough, but I still think that they could possibly be a playoff team. Like, I still think that they could find their way into the playoffs. Am I going to, they actually get into the playoffs, am I picking them to, like, confidently beat anybody? I don't think so.
You're full of shit.
I think they could still get into the postseason. I'm just not.
If they get
I'm not confident.
I will pick them to win If they get in, I'll pick them to go to the AFC Championship
you're full
game
of
and
shit,
probably to come
Serda.
out of the conference.
Well,
I have zero confidence that they will get there, but if they do, I'm back in, and I think they're going to the Super Bowl. Just want to make that clear today.
What they would have to do to get to the Super Bowl, Serda, I think you would feel differently about those comments with what they would have to do. Potentially run the table. If they win 5 straight from here, that I think which I want to go out on the record right now and tell you, they're going to run the table. We've done this before. You've done this head shaking thing before. That's fine. They don't.
I'm not confident about that at all.
You don't have to be. Listen, you don't have to be. There has been one person on this show that has stepped out multiple occasions and have had those same looks that you're giving right now. I don't know what they're going to do when they do win out, but I'm just telling you, you can look at this. All right. And we'll get into it because, yes, they've got problems. I'm telling you, you look at this, they don't have to be great to win any of the 5 games they have left. They don't have to be. They don't have to be great. These are all teams that won't run and hide from you. These are all teams in which Mahomes doesn't have to throw on a cape for 4 quarters. Like they don't, right? Like they just don't. And what we have watched them do this year is play well at home against almost any team. We've been here backs against the wall. They've got to beat Baltimore, and then they come out and put together a performance where they look like a contender. I know you forgot. They've got to play the Lions. Oh, well, we got to beat the Lions. They come back and they look like a contender. No, they've got to beat the Colts. Where was it? At home, they go and beat the Colts and win that game. I think they don't have to be great against these teams, right? And all the tough ones are at home, and that's where they have played the best. I understand why some of you are out, and I am certain we have got listeners that and viewers that are watching. Shout out! You can hit us up on the chat on YouTube and Twitch. Again, please like and subscribe on Foolish Club Media on YouTube. But I understand why some of you may feel the way that BK does. I understand. Some of you may be out. It makes sense. I got it. I understand they have done a lot of things to make you just get to a space of I'm out of here. And I'm with you. And I would also say one thing is that I'm really getting tired of. I'm really getting tired of trying to hold this down to one thing. Like I'm starting to hear now, because of this game, the defense couldn't get off the field. No, they couldn't. They were unable to get off the field. I don't know how many 3rd down and 7s and longer they gave up. I know at one point Dak was 5 for 5 or 6 for 6. I just stopped counting. There was either a penalty coming or they were giving it up and the blitz couldn't get there. Yeah, they had an awful day. Trent McDuffie had an awful day. John Hussey had an awful day with his crew. Like there were some
That was one of the most frustrating referee games I've ever seen. I was ready to throw things at my television, and I am not usually that kind of football fan.
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't know if you watched this one right now, this Detroit-Dallas game. I just watched a sequence of a clear offsides and then a clear pass interference on 3rd down and 2. Neither one of them got called, and they got it. Anyway, it's going bad this year, and maybe we can talk about that later. But I think one of the true misconceptions, don't like this game. Yes, the defense can get off the field, but they are from start to finish just doing things that put themselves in a position to where they have to make plays late in which they're not making plays. Right? They put themselves in a position. I mean, how many drives? Like we can talk about, to me, it is the offense as much as it is the defense. But I'd even lean towards the offense more because, as you said, BK, we knew they were going to have their hands full with George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. And yes, we got excited from the jumper, like, oh man, Spags is going to confuse them with these blitzes. We knew that they were going to have their hands full. What we did not believe was, all right, man, Chiefs are going to have the ball 4 consecutive times, around the 50 and in Dallas's territory. And they're going to punt on all 4 of those possessions. Not turn over on downs, not get picked, punt. 4 times for various reasons. One, Josh Simmons got hit with a very fair hold. The other one Josh Simmons got hit with a hold because he dominated somebody. Worthy, that's the one that really bothers me. Worthy got hit with an offensive pass interference. And then another one where sacks came. And then I know what maybe this may be the real reason why BK is out, Serda, is Andy Reid decided to punt the ball on Dallas's 40-something on like a 4th and 5. I know that may have killed. I know that may have killed BK a little bit inside. I understand that. But like it is mess ups throughout the game. It's not just the end of the game. That's the part. It's not like, wow, they were able to make plays and can't close. That's a part of it. But they are putting themselves in position throughout the game where they shouldn't even have to close, where they shouldn't be in that position because they can't stop making mistakes. And I understand that I am making the point for why you don't believe that this group is going to roll back and get back in this and why you're out. But I am tired of just trying to blame one thing. It ain't, man. It's every piece of this thing.
It's special teams. It's defense.
Well, it's
offense. It's the penalties. It's turnovers. They're not a team that turns the ball over a ton. Like a couple of years ago.
But when they do.
The leverage of game, it's like when you get into the 9th inning and your closer blows it. It just feels different than if you blow a 1-run lead in the 7th. The Chiefs have these moments where it's either like inside of their own 10 or inside of the opposing 10 that they throw the most devastating interception or fumble the worst fumble that you could possibly imagine. They just find ways to do this. And Ron, to your point of like, it's not just the defense in these late game situations. Ron, here are some of the scores in the 4th quarter for the Chiefs this season. They were down 27-18 with 7 minutes to go against the Chargers. That's a 2-score game with 7 minutes to go. Down 20-10 with 5 minutes to go against the Eagles. Down 28-13 early 4th quarter against the Bills. Down by 10, 31-21 this past week, 4 minutes to go against the Cowboys. And even against the Colts, a game that they ultimately won, until 6 minutes left, they were down 20-9. All of those scores that I just read, there were 5 games, midway through the 4th quarter, they were down by 2 scores. And they had to try to make that up. So they're losing 1-score games, yes. That is somewhat artificial in nature, though. They're actually losing what were 2-score games for the majority of these 4th quarters, and they're finding a way to make it interesting because, in part, the defense is getting some of these stops. Eventually, the dam breaks, though, because you can only hold on for so long. So it's everybody. Everybody has a part in this. That being said, Ron, you kind of made my point on it's everything. So I'll go ahead and take the other side now here as well. The Chiefs have some kind of an even odd year thing going on. I referenced baseball a minute ago, and it's kind of similar to the San Francisco Giants in this regard. I don't know why, I don't know how, but whatever. 2015, they started the year 1-5 with Andy Reid in charge. 2017, maybe the worst month of the Andy Reid era was November of 2017. Do you remember this, Ron? They lost against the Cowboys. Then they lost at the Giants in a horrific game, 12-9 in overtime.
Very windy.
The next week, they lost 16-10 at home against the Bills. And then they went back to the Meadowlands and lost 38-31 against the Jets. They went from 6-2 to 6-6 by the end of the month. And then ran the table, got to the playoffs. We know what happened against the Titans. 2019 started out hot. Mahomes' knee goes sideways, lose 4 out of 6, then finish hot again. They were 6-4, finished the year 12-4, ultimately win the Super Bowl. 2021 started the season 3-4, including an embarrassing loss 27-3 against the Tennessee Titans. Find a way to get it back on track, ultimately finish the year 12-5, losing the AFC Championship game, but a good year nonetheless. Then in 2023, that's the year that they had the Christmas nightmare where they lose at home against the Raiders, and then they're like circling the wagons outside. You end up finding a way to get to the playoffs and then run the table and get to the Super Bowl. And now we know what's happening in 2025. I don't know why they have to do this every 2 years, but in the last decade, Ron, every odd year, it's some weird shenanigans that this team has to pull where they make us want to pull our hair out, typically for a month or longer. And then they figure it out in the month of December. They make the playoffs, and more often than not, they get to the Super Bowl. So I don't know if that history is going to repeat itself again this time around. I'm again out, but it is weird. It's odd years that this team seems to do stuff like this, man.
And this year is the worst, right? This is the most difficult one. The
weird thing is it's more difficult because I think they're better. I think they're a better football team. The 2023 team, I just don't think was very good, and they won the Super Bowl. So I don't know.
They figured out what they had to do, and they pulled it off.
This team's just so frustrating because it just feels like there's been so many times this season where it's like they're right there, or you feel like they're right there, but then they're just so undisciplined and they create new inexplicable things to hurt themselves every single week.
Let me ask you guys this before we get to the Chiefs have the ball, because I do think this is a conversation that is had, and I don't want to, as we're sitting here right now, the Cowboys are in the midst of getting blasted right now by the Lions. The Lions have been able to cross midfield and continue their drives. And
maybe Dak shouldn't have been talking shit before the game because he's through a pick.
Well, it was George's fault. They got in there, and how about it? The Lions said, "Well, okay, I'm not going to let you just keep running these damn slants. We're going to jump in front of one of these puppies." But no. Let me ask you guys this, because I don't want to hear it from the standpoint of the silliness of like, oh, we're getting screwed. But do you think the Chiefs are getting a bad whistle? Like this year, again, I do not believe the reason that they're 6-6 is because of officiating. I think most of the time, like, there's bad calls everywhere. There's bad officiating everywhere. But do you feel like this year, whether it's luck or what, that the Chiefs are getting a bad whistle?
No. I think it was a really poorly officiated game against the Cowboys this past week. But overall, I am so sick of hearing the complaints about the officiating among Chiefs fans. Like, I bitched and complained about how national media talked about this, national fans talked about this over the last few years, and how it became such a topic of conversation. And I think Chiefs fans in general were annoyed by the conversation about how the Chiefs got these advantageous whistles, and that's part of what's allowing them to be this dynasty. No, they were better than you. And that's why it felt that way, because consistently they were coming through in these late moments. And also there were times where close calls went their way. More often than not, though, there were close calls. They were 50-50 decisions, and they make the call in the direction of the Chiefs. They're in those moments, and so you remember them a lot. I think this year Chiefs fans are almost going in the opposite direction with it, where, yeah, you're getting some whistles that are not favorable to you. Guess what? When you put yourself in these spots and you don't have a significant lead, all of those calls feel more significant because you don't have any margin for error. And when you have no margin for error, everything feels big. Every turnover is magnified that much. Every penalty is magnified to a greater degree. Every drop is magnified just the way that it was this past week against the Dallas Cowboys. The Chiefs have always had some of these issues in their history. It feels bigger this year because they have no one thing that they're great at right now. Whereas in previous iterations of the Chiefs, they've always had something that they can hang their hat on. So to answer the question directly, Ron, no, I think it's loser mentality. I think it's kind of embarrassing the way that the referees have been discussed especially after this past game. You lost that game because you did not find ways to overcome it, just the way that other teams failed to execute against you in recent seasons.
Yeah. I mean, I think that really is a lot of it. It's all these games are tight, and all 6 of the Chiefs' losses, we can point to significant mistakes and individual mistakes that wound up being the reason that they lost all of those games. Like, we can do that in every single one of them this season. And I think that refereeing is bad across the NFL. I think that they're just awful at their jobs. And so you kind of have to live and die with it. But that being said, the Cowboys game on Thanksgiving felt like it was the worst officiated football game that we've seen in a while. Like, they were straight up just not like just call the, I think, how many pass interference penalties do the Chiefs have? Like 4 or 5
in the second half.
Yeah, and it was like the most they've had in like decades in a single game. Like, something's not working there if that's the case. It doesn't just happen. Like, it was bad calls in that game, and they stood out more than others. But I think for the most part, it's kind of just how it is for everybody across the league. It's just that everything feels so amplified this season because there's so much at stake, and the Chiefs haven't been able to get things across the finish line.
I think they're losing their games because they're not making enough plays and they're making mistakes, and the other team is making plays and not making as many mistakes. But I do think the Chiefs are officiated differently than any other team in the league. And I don't think that officials are coming together and this is a 200 person thing of, all right, let's screw the Chiefs, like I think fans are. I think Chase Daniel said it almost feels like the league is trying to go so far the other way that they are to prove that the Chiefs don't get all the calls. I think that's too much. I do think that it is human nature to go into doing Chiefs games, especially when they're primetime games. I think it is human nature to be on more high alert and more and pay attention and more focus on, all right, we don't want to be a narrative in this game. Like, we don't, because that's been the conversation for multiple years. I think it's human nature to walk in and pay closer attention to James Harden and SGA when all you're hearing is, hey, they bait officials into fouls. They bait officials into fouls. And I think you watch them differently than you watch everybody else. And I think it is human nature going into Chiefs games to have hyper focus to not make sure you're not in any way favoring them. And I don't think all of the teams are getting refereed like that. And I think that is something that we are seeing. And because the Chiefs play most of their games standalone in prime time, I think it's a higher level of focus, right? Like, I keep using basketball players, but there are some physical NBA players that are on high alert, like a Draymond Green, as opposed to anybody else in what you're watching. So I think they're losing these games because they're making mistakes and not making enough plays. But I do think it is human nature. Whatever crew, like, to me, I think I think the Chiefs are probably, I think Chiefs fans are probably going to be more unhappy with the whistles because it's a standalone game. It's a Sunday night game. And I think it is a hyper, like, focused thought of, all right, let's make sure we're not the story at all. And I think it's going to happen. But there is in no way do I think has anything occurred where they can't overcome it. And I think they've added to it. And all of these penalties aren't phantom. They have done some things too. Like, I think Josh Simmons held somebody and that caused them to lose points, right? But I do think we are entering a situation where it is such a talking point that I think it is now a major focus that is different than a focus of the Lions and Cowboys game or the Raiders and whoever they play. All right, let's jump in. When the Chiefs have the ball, I think really it seems like this game comes down to the biggest matchup of the game, and that is the Chiefs offensive line and whoever the hell that's going to be out there. Have you ever thought what if somebody goes down, what that looks like? Like that's I know it's a bad thing, but just to think just think in the Cowboy game, the two tackles went down. Like, what do they do when that happens? Like that like it is just
Kingsley moves out and Hunter Norzad becomes your guard.
I mean, that's where they are. They potentially could go into this game with three backups. And I would say it's probably at this point more likely that is what occurs than anything else. As we know, Josh Simmons is out because he's on IR because Kareem goes all the way on his chip blocks. But it looks like Trey Smith's probably going to have some problems. My son was in a walking boot for 4 weeks with a high ankle sprain. Hell, he didn't have no problem with the lower part of it too. He's got them both. So I'd be surprised if he plays. And, with that tricep, I wouldn't think he's going to go back. So it looks like, and by the way, can we take a pit stop here? Your thoughts on this? It looks like it's going to be Jalen Moore on the right side with Mike DeVito, Creed, Kingsley, and Wanye as the left tackle if Jawan Taylor can't go. I know a lot of people have had issues with that. And I'm not going to lie to you. When I thought of it, I thought, well, of course, Wanye would be on the right side and Jalen Moore, who started for Simmons, would be on the left side. But Andy Reid said if those other guys can't go, Wanye would be the left tackle and Moore would be the right tackle. And I know a lot of people are losing their minds on this, BK. But I got to believe it's for a certain reason. I've got to believe they're not just cooking up hey, let's just throw some stuff. I think there's got to be a logical reason for them about why they would have that be the lineup.
If this was a team that had one defensive end that was good, that concerned you, and he lined up in the same side every time. Like, there are some players that do that, right? They stay in their spot and they line up either over the left or the right tackle. That is where they're going to be. And the Chiefs actively avoided putting their better tackle on that side. I would be super frustrated by the decision to put Wanye on the left and Jalen Moore on the right. That would annoy me. That's not the situation. The Chiefs are going up against the Houston Texans, who have two elite level defensive ends. You're going to be frustrated whether Wanye is starting on the left side or the right side. He's going to be out there. He's going to get beat, and it's going to be annoying. They have two defensive ends that have 10 or more sacks, do the Houston Texans. There are exactly 0 other teams in the NFL who can claim that feat. So, man, like Danielle Hunter has 11, Will Anderson has 10. Take your chances. I don't know that it really matters which side these guys line up on. They're both not particularly good, and they're both going to get worked by these defensive ends. So, I mean, pick your poison. I don't care where they line up. They think this is best, fine. I have no issues with it. It doesn't bother me at all.
But, Serda, there has to be a reasoning for it. And I mean, in my mind, I'm thinking, yep, maybe they would rather, because Will lines up usually across from the right tackle, they'd rather that be the matchup with his power. I don't know. Also, I can read the point of, hey, man, maybe this is we got to run the football. We got to use some other stuff. I'll be honest. I don't love the Caliendo and Wanye Morris connection on one side. Like, maybe the thought is, Let me have my strongest tackle with a weak guard, and let me have my strongest guard with a weaker tackle. I don't want to just put them both on one side so they're both getting their asses kicked like that. So I just think sort of Andy Reid. I know Andy Reid is pissed off. You're pissed off at a lot of him. A lot of people are pissed off with Andy Reid and Andy Heck. These guys have earned the right to me of, hey, they work with these cats every day. They know what these guys can do and can't do, right? And I'll be honest, after Wanya got his ass ran through against the Cowboys, that second play that I noticed he was out there, it was passable. Now, again, that wasn't Daniil Hunter. And let me give you the secret, too. Derek Barnett and Danico Autry, the backups, are not any slouches either when they come in. But so I just think Andy Reid is not throwing this. He knows a little bit about his team and football and how the game plan will work. So for me, like you said, man, I don't like. I gotta lean that Andy has an idea and a plan of why they're doing this the way they're doing it.
I think it really does make sense. Like, when it's like basically you don't really have any good options going into this matchup.
Fair.
And so it's like, okay, where what are the strongest guys we have left? And it's Jalen Moore, who is a versatile tackle who can play both sides and be pretty good. And then Mike Caliendo has been a problem stepping in for Trey Smith this season and has gotten killed a lot. And so it's like having Creed as the anchor of your line, and then Kingsley, who has turned into like legitimately like a really, really good left guard. And so I think it makes sense, like Wanya Kingsley on that side. They've also, they played together a little bit more. And so maybe there's a little bit more chemistry between them as players. And then Jalen Moore helps you feel better on the right side, trying to help out Mike Caliendo. Like, I think there's logic to all of that, but I think at the end of the day, it's just like, well, we're probably going to get beat at times in this game. It's just a matter of, can we control that? And can we control it enough with who we have at hand this week to where it doesn't totally destroy our offensive game plan?
Yeah. Pat's hitting the ground. Like, now it's going to be up to Pat too to not get sacked 8 times and lose 70 yards of a field position the way that Josh Allen did the other game against this team. But Pat is going down. He's gonna get. It's just, can you minimize it? And I think that's the biggest thing. Now listen, they have, with this group, they gotta help them. And Andy knows this. They gotta help them. And they have got to slow down that pass rush. And I think the defense overall, like they have got to get in the defender's head, because the thing, and I've watched every practice and game that this Houston Texan team has had damn near from the start of this season. This group attacks. Kamari Lassiter is one of the main ones in that screen game. That could be really big if he's not able to go, which it looks like that is on the table. But they attack, and that's a big part of their defense. And that is, to me, Andy's got to counter that and do something to either make them pay for coming so hard and attacking with misdirections or whatever, or he's got to do things to slow him down, to at least just make him stop and think for a second. And we saw it in the 2 games they've played them before. And mind you, they've had offensive line problems in at least 2 of those games, where they've had to slide their guard out to tackle, and Caliendo's ass had to waltz in there and play. So it had been perfect, right? Where they've done it before, but they've been able to quick pass, do things to slow them down. And I think that is a huge part of this game, is Andy has got to be in his bag. And I'm going to be honest with you, I almost think these injuries are going to force Andy to not stray away from it, and to not just say, hell, all right, we're going to run our offense. No, you can't do it. I mean, you can't. Not with those 3 dudes in there against that group. So, I mean, a lot Like I think we'll probably see a lot more of the run game, which I understand. This time they probably run it 25% of the time. That might go up to slow him down. We'll see a lot more screen, a lot more quick passing, because he has no choice, or he's going to get his quarterback killed.
I don't see many natural answers for the Chiefs in this game offensively. And that's what gives me so much pause, Ron. Like you're right. The Chiefs last year were able to overcome their offensive line issues. I think that offensive line was a little better than what you have right now. And beyond that, I think that defense was playing at a higher level than what the defense is playing at right now. And so when you combine the two and you don't have great special teams either, man, it's just a really tough spot. I think I'm more worried about the offensive line than you are. And I'm also more hesitant on Andy coming up with answers, because last year the answer was basically just the quick game, right? The problem right now, like even the quick game is not working for the Chiefs. They're not getting open. These guys aren't winning one-on-one. Xavier Worthy doesn't look like he's healthy right now. And Rashee Rice at times looks good, but there's been these concentration drops that are frustrating as well. So I don't know, man.
Well, I think to me,
I'm struggling to find answers for them offensively.
I am not. I'm petrified for the offensive line. I don't feel good about it at all. I just believe that Andy and them will do things to help their offensive line and not just. I think come hell or high water, Andy is not going to allow the pass rush and Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson just ruin this game.
But what recently against a good defense would give you that evidence?
Oh, I mean, I think he did it with Denver. Obviously they had their line. I think Denver they didn't. Like that's the closest.
The offense didn't play well.
But there wasn't the line. Like the
offense. I agree. I'm talking about just in general, because like they didn't have the same offensive line issues against Denver. They don't have.
No, the offense didn't play well, but it doesn't mean the plays weren't there. Like there were plays there that just weren't made by various people, and there were penalties and stuff, right? And again, also, this is the other point here that we're not getting to, and we will get to, is like how many points do you think it's going to take to win this game? That's 20. The other part. Like 20 maybe. I just the Texans are coming on. They're averaging 19 points their last 3 games. They had 36 yards of total offense in the second half against Buffalo. Right? Like they were in a dogfight. They got shut out in the first half versus the Titans. Okay, I'm just 20 maybe, 17, 20 maybe, right? Like if they, like you said, the offense wasn't good against it. What they did against Denver would win this game offensively.
And I think they had more answers against Denver. Because in that game, you had your offensive line in place.
The offensive line, yes. And like I said, I think they will have to do things to work around it. Again, Mahomes is going to get hit. But I think Kelsey and Rice are going to be a problem in the middle of the field for them. And I think quick stuff with Worthy potentially could be a problem, especially if Lassiter isn't able to go. But I think Rice and Kelsey, the middle of the field, the Chiefs killed them with in both games last year. I think those are potential problems for them. Also, within that, when the Chiefs had the ball, I think there will be chances for them to make big plays or plays down the field or chunk plays down the field. I'm not going to say a ton of them, but I think there will be chances because the Texans are so aggressive that they leave themselves open at times, and they are so confident that the pass rush is going to get there that sometimes, there are chances where they get behind the defense. They got to take advantage of those plays. Like they've got to take advantage of those opportunities. Like if they have, we just referenced the Denver game, if they've got 3 routes down the field where they're open for big plays, they've got to hit it at a better clip than they've been hitting it.
I'll be curious to see how they hit those. Like, are they moving the pocket? What's the plan on these
Certainly.
plays?
Yes.
Because they're just going to have no time, and so those big plays, you want to hit them, and there probably will be some opportunities in the event that Mahomes can stay in the pocket and keep himself upright. I just have such little faith that that's going to be there for him. So
that's what I said.
Hope you're right. I hope it's available.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, this ain't their first rodeo, and again, they've got to do things to help them, and they keep running quick stuff and running the football, quick stuff. That slows pass rushers down and makes them think. And you may be able to sneak some, but you got to hit some of those big plays. All right. When the Texans have the ball in this game, and I think this is the big part where I can understand the concern of things, but the Texans are not going to run away from the Chiefs. And I think without a shadow of a doubt, the Houston Texans defense is the best unit in the game. But I think the Chiefs offense is even with their offensive line issues is a tougher test for the Texans defense than the Texans offense is for the Chiefs defense. I know CJ is back and that is good. But I think they're just not a great offense, and they don't want to be an offense that scores. Like they will play for all right field goals and punts. That's how they trust their defense, and for that they're never going to be in it. So or you're never going to be out of it. And so I think the Chiefs defense should keep their points down. I think though for me, when I have seen the Texans kind of play at their best offensively, it usually is them sustaining long drives. Like they had a 16-17 play drive to open up the game against the Colts that just, passed the time of possession towards their favor. And we've seen the Chiefs give up third downs. We understand the numbers that have been thrown out all week about where they are third down wise. I don't think the Texans are going to come here and put up 27, but that is the space are they constantly picking up first downs? Are they having longer drives to help their defense rest too? So to me, that's the big thing that I'm looking at that the Chiefs defense has to stop.
Ron, last week we talked a lot about how Dak Prescott is not very good against pressure, but if you blitz him, he'll crush you, right? And then the Chiefs went into the game, they tried to blitz, and we said hey, maybe the Spags blitzes will be different. And the answer was no, man. It was not different at all. In fact,
the first one was. Whew, the first one
was early, and then it immediately looked a little different. And Mina Kimes tweeted this out earlier in the week. I thought it was interesting because it kind of matches the eye test. The Chiefs from 2022 to 2024 were first, second, and third in yards per play, pressure rate, and sack rate. They were a top 3 team in each of those statistics. This season, when the Chiefs blitz, they are 31st in yards per play allowed. They are 28th in pressure rate, and they are 31st in sack rate. They have become a bottom 3 to 5 team in the NFL when they blitz. And the reason that I bring this up is because, as you know, certainly, the Texans have their pressure problems as well. They don't handle it particularly well. And CJ Stroud has at times had a ton of issues with pressure just immediately getting into his face. So this feels like a week where Spags could get after it with some of those blitz packages. But the Chiefs are so bad at it right now. I will be curious to see if that means he plays a little bit more conservative because of what you're talking about with the Texans. They're not a team that gets a ton of explosive plays against you. They're kind of like the Chiefs offense where it relies on 8, 10, 12 play drives. And maybe Spags says, hey, eventually they're going to make the mistake that ends this drive. I'm very curious to see how he handles this thing game planning wise, what he wants a drive to look like for the Texans. And I think you'll find that out pretty quickly in this game.
I think he's got to mix it up more. I think he's got to mix it up more. And I wasn't mad at him. I was more mad at the players. Because he just said F it against Dak. and just start sending blitzes and, Pickens and them. It was like they weren't even covering the tightest route. Like it was just so easy. They
Yeah.
weren't getting there, and I didn't even like their cut. Like at times it would be like Watson or McDuffie would be covering the outside leverage of them when they're blitzing, and they could just slant. So I thought it was all janky to begin with, but I think he does got to mix it up a little bit. I think he's got to mix it up with what he's, blitzes when he's not playing coverage. I think they got to double Nico and then hope that the rest of these guys can work, and maybe George can get some hard work sacks or hard work pressures at least to let him get. But I think just because it became a thing, BK and Serda, that third down he's coming. He's coming every time, and when it's coming, you're prepared for it.
Yeah, I don't think this is even the first time that Spags has become a predictable defensive play caller. I think he's gone on stretches in years past where like the pass rush was struggling or something, and he was just trying to do way too much and like reach way too deep into his bag to try to generate pressure because that's what he wants to do. And the blitzes work when they aren't expecting them, when you can pull them out of nowhere at key moments in the game. But when you're just straight up not generating pressure at all up front, and that's the only way you can do it is by sending those, then that's how you get picked apart by a really good quarterback like Dak Prescott last week. I don't think the Texans are close to that offensively, but it's not to say that CJ Stroud can't still give you some problems. It's not to say that Nico Collins can't still give you some problems. Like, I don't think that they're an offense they should just totally sleep on, but at the same time, like, this offense isn't anything close to what you saw last week against the Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he's forced to be predictable because there's no other option. It's either be predictable or do what happened against Denver. And everybody was smoking hot that he didn't blitz Bo Nix at the end of the game against Denver. And now I just think if you're not going to blitz, you got to have a harder double than they've had at times, and then make them throw into coverage. So I don't know, man. I just think he's got to mix it up some, but they do. They got to get pressure, and I don't know what's going on with George or anybody. Can someone win a one-on-one battle? I think there are a lot of things when you say overhaul and stuff. To me, that's the only area where I'm like, they gotta really revamp it, and that is the pass rush. Like that, I think that's major. The other stuff, I just think it's a weird year. But that part there, that part they have to revamp. And they just need folks to step up and try to step up, or Spags has to pull it together. But again, even with their terrible pass rush and with, even against the better teams and the better offenses, if they cut down on some of these penalties, they would still somehow sneak out of here with wins and with moves. But it's just all of it that comes together. I will say, off of last week, watching the physical receivers of Lamb and George Pickens, hopefully the Chiefs in this game will be allowed to have some physicality as well themselves, more than they were able to in that game. But I think that is potentially an issue too when you look at what they bring to the table. Nico Collins is a physical receiver, and so is Jaden Higgins, the rookie, who is starting to really come on for the Texans here in the last month. That is a bit of concern, especially based off what we watched last week.
It's a huge concern. The difference is they had two of them, right? Like the Higgins, if he beats you, you tip your cap. He's a talented young receiver, don't get me wrong, but he's the kind of guy where, like, all right, I think we'll be able to come up with some kind of a plan against him. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens is different. Those guys this year are two legit top 10 wide receivers in the NFL, and both of them have the size, the speed, and the strength to give you problems. So even if you put Jalen Watson on one of them, well, the other guy, typically CeeDee Lamb, is probably lined up in the slot, and you just don't have a way around that if you're the Chiefs. Like, one of them is almost always going to be lined up against Trent McDuffie, no matter where you try to hide Trent McDuffie. So that was in my opinion, more difficult matchup for the Chiefs, whereas this week, you could kind of just say, hey, Jalen Watson, follow Nico Collins. And you could probably go about it that way. I know Jalen Watson also had his issues at times with some of those, the size that he went up against, but I think he gives you the better matchup against a guy like Nico, even though Nico's still going to get his. He's just that good of a receiver.
Well, I just think you just take him. I think you hard double to me. And for me, the other threats, and I think you can play aggressive with their receivers, which I don't know if the Chiefs guys ever really do, but you can play aggressive to me with Christian Kirk and Higgins and the guys they're gonna and Xavier
Schultz
Hutchinson.
isn't a guy that's gonna get like big plays against you.
Xavier Hutchinson. I'm just saying, not gonna just run past you like those threats. I think you can play aggressive and suffocate and take away their stuff, but they don't. That's not something they traditionally do because CJ's trying to get it out of his hands quick for the most part anyway. As their offensive line has improved, but it's still not great. All right, Serda, hit me with my music. This is the segment that is sweeping the nation. If you're just joining us, please, if you're on YouTube and Twitch, please head over YouTube and Twitch, Foolish Club Media, like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. That would really, really help us out. But this is certified or imposter. I say a statement. You tell me if it's certified or imposter. Lead me off here, Serda. Certified or imposter, the Chiefs should give a second thoughts on signing Trent McDuffie long term. Certified or imposter?
And I'm gonna say it's imposter. I know Trent McDuffie struggled last week, and traditionally we've talked about it. It's pretty easy to pick out the spots where he might have some issues, and it's always against the bigger, stronger wide receivers in the NFL. But prior to that game, Trent McDuffie had just been really damn good this season, and corners have bad games every now and then. It's a tough position to play in the NFL, so you're going to get beat sometimes. But also for whatever reason, Noel Williams just can't seem to get on the field now, even though we saw some early promise from him earlier in the season. And then Jalen Watson's also in a contract year. So it's if you're not going to pay McDuffie, if you're not going to pay Jalen Watson, then what's the future in the secondary? I know the Chiefs have done a good job of drafting and developing those guys, but I still believe Trent McDuffie is a core player to this team right now.
It's certified. They should trade him this offseason. And I don't say that with any malice. I like Trent McDuffie a lot. I think he's a great football player. But I think we have seen there are some limitations there. And to re-sign him, you're probably looking at close to $30 million a year. I just don't think this team can do that, man. And they also need to continue to add resources to this team. Cheap, young, talented resources. And I think maybe we underestimated the importance of having those extra draft picks when the Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill. That was kind of their get out of jail free card, where you could continue to build with young talent around Patrick Mahomes at the time. It reset what they had salary cap wise. And then the last time that they had the opportunity to do this, it was with Chris Jones, and they chose to keep him. I would have done the same thing. You're trying to go for history. I think it was the right move at the time. Has it worked out the way that anybody would have wanted it to? Probably not. But it was the right move, in my opinion. But now you're paying for that a little bit. And when you pay a dude that's a future Hall of Famer, all-time great Kansas City Chiefs player, $30+ million a year, the way that they did with Chris Jones, it has consequences. And one of those consequences, when you do that, plus you keep Nick Bolton, plus you keep George Karlaftis, plus you decided to pay Trey Smith, you're going to have to make hard decisions. And one of those decisions, in my opinion, is Trent McDuffie is probably going to have to be dealt this offseason. So, yeah, I think they should give second thoughts to it, Ron. I think they should trade Trent McDuffie this offseason and get the draft capital that comes in your direction instead.
How long have you been feeling that way?
this season. Really, since I've seen all of the struggles that they've had, probably for about a month or so.
I would say imposter. I've just not felt like, yeah, man, he's expendable. I just have a hard time trading 25-year-old two-time All-Pros that are corners at a premium position like that. I don't, boy, because I feel like a lot of the heat is coming based off of this game, and I think he had a bad game. And I'll be honest, I think he had a help with a bad game. I don't think he was as bad as he was. I could feel the frustration from him, that it felt like that there was a cap on the physicality that he could bring that wasn't reciprocated the other way. So I get where you're coming from, because he is most dominant in the slot. Now, I don't know if I don't think he's going to jump Sauce Gardner, who's making over 30. I don't think that is the case. But boy, I don't know. I don't know, because you leave yourself with Watson. I don't know how they feel about Noah Williams. I would say right now, looking at this, I would say imposter. I think I think he's an important part to this crew. You drafted him, developed him. I mean, I just don't treat corners like running backs, like BK sounds like he is. All right, prediction time. BK, where are you at in this game? This is it feels like if they lose, this feels like they're done.
I agree with you. I think you have to win this one to continue fighting for your playoff life. This is a weird week in the NFL, man. We're watching right now. We're recording this on Thursday night. I liked the Cowboys tonight. It also felt strange to me that the Cowboys were a 3-point underdog on the road at the Lions, because I think the Cowboys have just been better lately. We're early in the fourth quarter, but the Lions are very clearly the better team tonight. This weekend, you look at like Packers 6.5-point favorite against the Bears. That feels like a way bigger line than it probably should be. The Eagles are only a 2.5-point favorite against the Chargers. I think the Eagles are quite a bit better. There's just some weird spots.
Justin Herbert's only got one hand.
There are some weird spots in the NFL with some of these lines. And the reason that I bring this up as a preamble to the Chiefs game, Chiefs are a 3.5-point home favorite despite all of the offensive line issues. That, again, feels wrong to me. And typically when I see one of these lines and I'm like, that feels wrong, Vegas is smarter than me at this stuff. But I'm going to trust my intuition. I'm going to trust my belief that these offensive line issues are just going to be too much for this team to overcome. And I think this is the week that we all come to grips with the reality, which is the Kansas City Chiefs season is over. And they're not going to make it to the playoffs this year. And they're going to look in the offseason at overhauling this thing. And that might mean some changes on the coaching staff. That might mean significant changes to the roster, change to the way that they go about things. And I think that starts this week. Chiefs lose 20-17 at home against the Houston Texans.
Yeah, I think they're probably going to miss the playoffs, but I don't think it's going to be this week. I think the game plan is going to be like, maybe we see them lean into the run a little bit more like they did against the Colts, and it's going to be just get rid of the football as fast as possible against that pass rush. And we've seen the Chiefs do that to success. And I think they'll be able to do some of that. I think Pat's going to get hit and he's going to get sacked in this game, and that's inevitable based off of the guys that you're trotting out there. But I do think that this should be a better game for the Chiefs defense. Like, I still think that the Chiefs are a better football team than the Houston Texans, but I do think this is going to be like an ugly game. I don't think it's going to be a very fun game, but I think the Chiefs will like limp to like 20 points and then the Texans will get to like 13. So I'm picking the Chiefs to win.
Yeah, I got it 23-13. I think one of the issues I think that the Texans have is that anybody's in the game against them. When I say anybody, I mean the Tennessee Titans. I mean the Buffalo Bills. I mean the Colts with Daniel Jones with one leg and Jonathan Taylor not doing anything. Anybody is in the game because of how they play offense and their philosophy with offense. Anybody's in the game with them. And I think there's a situation with them. To me, it's like, all right, they're a tough physical game, especially defensively. But they put themselves in a position where, an offense just has to make a few plays in a game. And next thing you know, you look up and they're losing. I've watched them. The Rams beat them 14-9. Matthew Stafford just had to make a couple of plays. Him and Puka just had to make a couple of plays in the game. Like when I say they had the Bills, Josh Allen got sacked 8 times and had over 70 yards of field position he lost with those sacks, 3 turnovers, and they are sweating it out at the 10-yard line at the end of the game. They had 36 yards of total offense in the second half. Like Cam Ward didn't do anything all game. He made one play. It's 13-13. They got a 3rd and 16 about to give the ball back to the Titans, but they made a play with Nico Collins. So anybody is in the game, and I think Patrick Mahomes will make a couple of plays. I think Andy is trying to make it his point that Mahomes doesn't have to put on a cape the entire time, but I think there will be a couple of moments where he puts on a cape. And does he make those plays? I think he'll make enough of them. So I got 23-13 Chiefs, and I'm betting you, Serda, BK will be back in next week. He'll be back in next week. He'll get himself convinced. Chargers at Arrowhead. Oh, my God. It's the Chargers. That jackass has one hand. Oh, my God. Our 2 road games are against the Raiders and the Titans. And can we beat Bo Nix?
Christmas. Just wait till Christmas. I won't be back in until Christmas. If they win this game and then they win on Christmas Day, because I believe they'll win the other 2. I'll be back in. They're going to the Super Bowl.
He'll be in after this. I'm not saying go to the Super Bowl. Right now, he said he's out.
If they get to the playoffs, they will go to the Super Bowl. I will pick them.
We are out.